Retail psychology is a lighter topic. It's not so much to know every single detail, but be aware of it so you can be a wiser consumer. So we want to understand that there are strategies that a store, a company will do in the bricks and mortar location and online to encourage you to spend more money. So you might have already seen or noticed some things where you said, "Hey, that's a trick. They're trying to make us buy this impulse purchase, or they're trying to get us to add on to our order by putting something in the people also liked this box." Uh, by the end of this class, you'll be able to recognize more. Let's start with just shopping malls and a trip to how the Eaton Center or the Young Eglinton Center or Yorkdale might inspire you to spend more money.
Australians love to shop. Last year we spent $20 billion on it, and this is our mecca, the modern shopping centre. So you're here to buy things, obviously, but there is a power over you in this space that you might not necessarily be aware of. See, everything about the design of this building is driving you to spend money, sometimes on things you don't even need. I'll take two. Architects have a way of creating spaces that subtly mess with our minds, making us more vulnerable to impulse buying. It's a practice called scripted disorientation, and the moment it works on you is called the Gruen transfer. There's a multi-billion-dollar industry that thinks, plans, tests, observes and designs every inch of this place, and it all starts here, the entrance, the decompression zone. Now take a moment to look around. There's nothing to see, there's nothing to look at, there's nothing to buy. It's because they know that you need a few seconds to acclimatise when you come in the door to get into that proper money-spending mode. Once you're into the mall proper, the disorientation techniques kick in. The most obvious things to look out for are, number one, there are no clocks in here. Number two, you rarely ever see the outside world clearly from the inside. They're both classic methods for skewing your perception of time. Next, the lighting and colour schemes are both harsh and bright. The floor is tiled and reflective, which also means it's loud in here with that muzak and people talking and kids yelling. All of it designed to make you yearn for the relative comfort of a store. You probably turn right as soon as you enter, because that's what most people do. In fact, so many of us do it, they actually call it the invariant right. That's why all the bargain bins, specials, and recommended books and DVDs are always here. It's so much nicer in here. The lighting is calmer, the music is quieter, the carpet is soft, like a baby zebra. It all makes you feel just a little bit more open to the idea of spending $3,000 on a flat screen TV.
There's an enormous amount of investment that goes into designing shops. They're working with these sort of long evolved aspects of our behaviour and the way we understand the world in a way that most people are probably unaware of. The easiest place to spot these techniques in action is your local supermarket. Now, what are the most bought items? You've got your bread, your milk, and your meat, right? Supermarkets position them in totally different parts of the store, making you visit as many aisles as possible to complete even the simplest shopping list. The more product you pass, the more likely you are to impulse buy. Ooh, space food sticks. But the true grand wizard of consumer manipulation is without a doubt IKEA. IKEA intentionally confuse your sense of direction by making you focus on this maze.
It takes you about half an hour to walk through the showroom, and after about 15 minutes, you have no idea where you are.
Before you can buy what you actually came in here looking for, you have to wander through these fantasy apartments. You see, IKEA wants you to interact not with individual products, but with combinations of products. The first things you can actually pick up and buy are these incredibly cheap glasses, plates and cups, and after seeing the expensive apartments, there's no harm in picking them up. By the time you do get to the flat pack you came looking for, according to University College London, you've bought 60% more products than you ever intended. At the end of the day, probably the best thing for your wallet is to leave the shopping centre. You don't want to do that because mall designers have intentionally made that car park so bowel-clenchingly difficult to navigate that your subconscious is telling you that you would rather do anything than try and find where the hell you put the car. In fact, on second thoughts, I do need a new TV.
So here are some examples of what he was talking about. The scripted disorientation, a confusing layout, That's IKEA. Here's a time motion analysis of people shopping at IKEA, and the detours that they take going through the whole store, and they grab things and pause and look at more things and make extra purchases, and the whole layout causes more confusion. You might also see at the grocery store the milk, the meat, bread, key items like that are apart. So you have to go travel through the whole store to get your basic groceries done. You can't do your groceries in a couple of minutes. They want you to take as much time as possible. So if you were to look at how the escalators in the Eaton Center are lined up, they're not really in a straight line or all in one place. You can just go, straight from the top to the bottom. You have to take a bit of a winding road. And here you can see what the narrator was talking about. All those hard surfaces, the echoing, the loud noise. It's going to be peaceful to go into a store and shop. So the invariant right, people like to go to the right-hand side. You'll see some flowers at the grocery store, some impulse items. You'll see the best sellers at Indigo on the right-hand side. Paying to have good shelf allowance so that it's in a high-profile place, ideally at eye level. So here we have the cereal aisle. Notice that the children's eye level is the candy, cereal, and at the adult's eye level is the adult cereal. And if you look at other parts of the store, you'll see some things like flour that's low margin. It's at the bottom, usually out of eyesight. We have to search for pots and pans, some things that are not frequently purchased. They might be on the top shelf or on the bottom shelf. It's also called a slotting fee. So when Richard Branson launched launched Virgin Cola to compete with Coke, Coke combated this by buying all the shelf allowance in the soft drink section in the UK, so Virgin Cola could not be listed. Well, we have impulse purchases. Usually they're cheap items, they're easy to pick up, they're colorful, you can grab them, they're near the store, checkout counter where you're waiting. Encourage you to grab more. Sometimes it's not always food. At Indigo you might see these home items, these high margin items near the store. So we have the power aisle, a big aisle in the center. Encourage people to go down there, and some high margin items will be in either side. It's like Main Street. There might be a big table or a display in the middle to really focus people's attention. So you can see that, for example, Best Buy, they'll put the TVs, by the entrance in a big aisle, so you just want to grab one. You can't miss it. So there's no real alphabetization. For example, shopping for soups, you don't just go down to T for tomatoes. They're in all sorts of different orders. So hopefully by the time you're browsing through, you grab a couple of extra soups you weren't planning to. Traffic builder. So that's necessities like the dairy, partially because of refrigeration, but also by design, are at the back of the store, so that you have to go all the way to the back to get them. And it forces you to see everything else in the store. A slight difference you might notice at Shoppers Drug Mart, sometimes they've started to put their dairy close to the front. While they're trying to position themselves as a place to shop for needed groceries, so they need to make it a little bit more visible, like it's in a power aisle, because you don't associate Shoppers Drug Mart with buying milk just yet. But once people make that association, they would consider moving it to the back. Psychological pricing. I mean, it seems cheaper when there's $3.88 for Frosted Flakes than $4, but really there's not much of a difference. And Walmart does these odd prices to just make things seem a little bit cheaper. Another thing about Walmart is red and yellow are the colors that we process the quickest. So when people see that, they're going to process it right away and be excited about the everyday low price. You see, grocery stores, they're starting to make their own foods, so it becomes appealing. You walk through Eglinton Station and you see the Cinnabon store. That again makes people want to purchase things, makes people want to grab ready to eat meals. So you might want to think, what was your last impulse purchase, and maybe try to figure out why that was the case. Since the course is about connecting business to what you actually experience, here's how a store near the school uses retail psychology. So Indigo, both online and in their store layout, convinces you to buy more. So the books are at the back. If you go in there, you'll see that it's a bit of a traffic builder. You have to go through all the high margin impulse items to get to the books, and you'll see all this other stuff like these e-readers, these Kobos, this technology, these toys, these home products before you get to the books. The Starbucks serves as a traffic builder, so it appears on the Starbucks app, but you have to again go through every part of the store to get there, past all these business books, with the hope that you would buy something on your way to Starbucks. Impulse purchases, there candy, there's these socks, there's other home decor items. They're high margin. There's a high profit margin, meaning they get more profit margin from this than a typical book. So they put these by the line so you see them when you're waiting to check out. There's definitely end cap displays. The end cap is the end of an aisle. You see it a little longer because you're turning around. So they have these bookcases at the end of each aisle in an end cap display, like this little blue display here. And they also have tables right in the middle of the of big aisles, so you have to stop and see where they have the featured books. So as I reviewed this, you get in the habit of using the terms from the course. Like here we have, end cap displays used in the right term. So online, they have recommendations from others who liked that book. Maybe it inspires more purchases. You tack it on. There's also a last minute special offer for like seasonal Christmas gifts or socks or summer products, things like that, immediately for checkout, before checkout, and you can add it very, very quickly. And there's a one-step checkout. Once you've logged in, you can do one-step checkout again. You don't have to enter your information each time, so this reduces friction. The sales are shown on the splash screen in a bright color like red, so you see it right away and you take advantage of it. It shows you the savings, so it says list price, and you save 14%. So again, people like seeing a sale, so that inspires you to purchase a bit more. You can choose to deliver it to a nearby store and save prices. You can also lower the cost by delivering it to a nearby store. You can add items to a wish list and then purchase them later on so you don't forget. You can share your wish list with other people as for Christmas and encourage them to buy as much gifts as you want. And also, sometimes the shipping is just under the price of 2 books. So one book won't get you the free shipping, but a second book will. So what are some tips to avoid that? Try to use the directory. They have these little kiosks where you can search for your book, you print off a little receipt, it tells you where to find it and go directly there. When you're on the website, although it does give you those extra notifications, it's a good chance to read recommendations to get a better idea of whether you will enjoy the books. And I've found a good workaround for the app is that to have items delivered to the Young and Eglinton store is a way to save on shipping costs. If I really want something, I'll just have them deliver it to the store and I'll pick it up after school. It's a way to save money.